The following is brought to you by goldseekmint.com. Silver and gold bullion directly from the mint. goldseekmint.com.
Welcome to Cambridge House Live. I'm Vanessa Collette here at the Sprott Symposium, and I'm pleased to be joined by Tekoa Da Silva, an investment executive with Sprott Global. Welcome, Tekoa. Nice to see you again.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Vanessa.
Now, you recently made a move over to Sprott Global. How did that come about?
Thanks for asking. Very exciting for me. It's been since about February that I've joined the team there, and in my prior role, I served as an investment publisher, and had the opportunity to interview the CEOs, the fund managers, newsletter writers, and economists that have a connection to gold or natural resources in some kind of way. And it was a fascinating experience for me because I had the chance to ask them questions that were self-motivated, that I could leverage within my own investment portfolio, and then also publish and share those ideas with the marketplace out there. And so I reached out to Rick, and sort of the story is a bit longer, but he was kind enough to allow me to join the team there, and I get the opportunity now to work side by side with him and the team, and it's such an amazing group. The talent and the expertise, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely take things, all your knowledge and learning to the next level. I think the team like that would be amazing experience.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, you talk a lot about looking to the 4% for lessons. What's the story there?
Yeah, we had a chance to talk a little bit about that ahead of time. And so it's this idea, serving as a publisher during that time that I was doing the interviews, I came to this conclusion, and this isn't new. A lot of people watching at home, our audience know this, and Rick talks about this, Doug Casey talks about this, that there are a few builders in every industry that are responsible for their respective industries, their innovation, the growth, and the subsequent wealth creation. Just a few people that produce the most. You could count them on the two of your hands. And this idea is articulated nicely by something called Pareto's Law, which is known as the 80-20 rule. And what's fascinating is if you take 100 people that are already successful, they could be CEOs, you break them up 80-20, you get 20 that are relatively the most successful out of the 100. Right. You can apply Pareto's Law to that again and get the top four, the 4%, if you will, out of the 100 that produce statistically over 60% of the progress and the productivity in any related task. And so, I wanted to pursue the strategies and the attitudes and the philosophies of those people. It just fascinated me, and I wanted to apply what they were learning into my life and into my investment portfolio. And then at one point I decided, getting back to your first question, is not only do I want to study those people, but I want to get the chance at some point in my life, 10, 20 years down the road, to be part of that 4% as well. And so that's when I reached out to Rick and the team at Sprott Global. And again, they've been so very kind to me since day one.
So where are the 4% going in the world?
Sure. So there's this really interesting and exciting movement going on right now, and I spoke with Andy Jackson about it, our in-house geologist. And it's happening in West Africa, and in particular a country called Liberia. The younger generation of the 4%, if you will, they're physically going there and engaging in exploration and development. And the older generation of the 4%, Rick, Eric, as an example, Ned Goodman over at Dundee, they're sending their dollars into battle behind these guys and backing their exploration and development efforts. And in particular, Liberia is a fascinating country that I've been studying, and I spoke with Andy about it a number of times, and there are two really fascinating reasons why we like it. And if you'd like, I can chat more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what are the two reasons?
Yeah, all right, so two reasons. The first one is this geological structure that runs through Liberia. It starts in Côte d'Ivoire, and it runs through the eastern half of Liberia, and it's called the Birimian Shield. And the reason why this is fascinating is because it's been host to hundreds of millions of ounces of gold deposits, low-grade deposits, that since the 80s have been explored and developed, but the development didn't occur in Liberia due to a 20-year civil war. And so
they were closed off.
Yeah, and so in the early 2000s, the country opened up. Peace has sort of found its way into the country. The administration cleaned things up, and so exploration and discoveries are now taking place in Liberia. And so there's sort of a very quiet exploration and land rush going on there.
So what are some of the investment lessons that you're learning from the 4%? Is it going to areas like Liberia that were closed off that are now opening up? Like, is that one of the lessons?
Yeah, I think so, and you're seeing it happening. You know, there's one company in particular that we like that is going into Liberia, and they're going in there aggressively into the eastern half, taking advantage of the unexplored region, and that company is called Humminbird Resources. And I should mention, that's not a recommendation. I don't know all of our audience members yet. I don't know their time horizon, risk profile, liquidity needs, or what have you, but it's an area that they can do homework. And so they're finding lots of gold. They've got an exciting project they're developing in Liberia called the Dugbe 1 project. They did a recent deal with Gold Fields for a project up in Mali. That's very interesting.
Is it a private company?
So that's a public company, Humminbird Resources, yeah, and it's led by a CEO named Dan Betts, who's the next generation. He's the leader of this family with a 250-year history of being in the gold mining business. And so we sort of feel that the team there, led by Dan, could prove themselves potentially to be one of the next great development teams like we saw in the previous generation, the Ross Beatties, Bob Quartermains, Rob McEwens, and what have you. So we like Humminbird very much. Awesome.
What has the investment strategies of the 4% changed much in the last 4 years of this bear market?
No, I don't think so. No. It's same timeless principles that don't really change, and that's what I started pursuing in my interview work. And if it would be possible, there's a passage. I always like bringing a book to my commentaries, and if anyone has seen my stuff in the past, they might know. And there's a passage here that I'd like to share to people watching, if that's okay with you. And it had to do with a man named Floyd Odlum, who after the Great Depression, he became one of the top 10 richest men in the country. Okay. And the idea here is that he said, quote, "I saw a strange situation after the Great Depression. The public's confidence had dropped so much that the investment trusts were priced lower than the value of the stocks that they owned. For $5, you could buy a share of Trust X that owned securities of railroads and factories that were selling for $10 per share." And then he finished by saying it was a wonderful spot for someone with nerve and cash, end quote. And so, as mentioned, Floyd went on to become one of the top 10 richest men in the country by taking advantage of that strategy again and again and again and again. And that's available in the resource market right now with some study. There are names out there that people can participate in that meet that criteria.
Sounds like he's a value investor to the core.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Warren Buffett, Benjamin Graham style. Right. You buy a dollar for 50 cents enough times over and over throughout your career and you do very well.
So you're seeing probably a lot of those opportunities right now.
I am, and there's one in particular, if I could comment on it, that I like, and it's called Crona Gold, and I'm long the shares there. And
that has a big name, I guess, Crona. There was a famous Crona that was founded in Vancouver.
That's right.
Same one or a different one?
A different one, but associated with the same man in a certain way, Ned Goodman, who's of Dundee. And Dundee Corporation owns 25% of Crona Gold Corp.
Interesting.
And I guess long story short there, the company has 21 million shares outstanding, a portfolio that's worth about 11 to 12 million in cash, and about 8 million in cash in the bank. So you got 20 million in cash and securities against a share count of 21 million. That's about 95 cents per share in value, and the shares are trading for about 45 cents. So that's a 50% off book value, and the largest position is in Humminbird at 5.8 million shares. So that's, I think, sort of a grade A example if someone wanted to look for value in the sector, Crona Gold, yeah.
Now, where can people follow more of your advice or recommendations? Through Sprott Global?
Yeah, thanks for asking. They can go to SprottGlobal.com for that, and I spend most of my days now, aside from answering the phone and doing emails, like researching commodities, minerals, different companies, doing tons and tons of research, and I would happily do that for anybody that's out there at home watching this. If they have a stock in their portfolio or a group of stocks in their portfolio and they're not sure where they stand, I'd be happy to provide a portfolio ranking where I'd take a look at the companies, do the research, and I'll even walk down the hall and ask Rick about the companies too, and get his opinion, and we can put together a ranking for that person.
That's very generous.
And to take advantage of that, they can email me at tdasilva@sprottglobal.com for that.
Well, thanks for sharing, and thanks for stopping by, Tekoa.
Vanessa, thank you for the opportunity.